Manikaran.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Manikaran Singh Chaggar, and I am a research intern at the Institute of Chinese Studies, New Delhi. It is a matter of great pleasure to extend a warm welcome to all to another edition of the ICS Wednesday seminar titled The Political Crisis in South Korea Context and Contours. The declaration of emergency martial law on 3rd December 2024 was a surprising move by South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol. Fortunately, the National Assembly was able to convene an emergency session and nullify the emergency martial law. Afterwards, the National Assembly passed a bill to impeach the president, and the matter is now in the Constitutional Court. These recent political and legal moves by the Republic of Korea have demonstrated the weakness of the democratic institutions in the country and some of its underlying problems. This seminar will discuss the origins and manifestations of the ongoing political crisis and the possible future trajectory of the South Korean polity. The speaker for today's seminar is Professor Sandip Kumar Mishra. He is a professor of Korean Studies at the Center for East Asian Studies, School of International Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. He is also an honorary fellow at the ICS New Delhi and a distinguished fellow at the Institute of Peace and Conflict Studies, New Delhi. He obtained his doctoral degree in Korean Studies and International Relations from the JNU. He studied Korean language at Yonsei University and Sogang University, South Korea. He has published several research articles and book chapters. His articles have also appeared in newspapers such as the Korea Times, the Tribune, the Indian Express, and the Statesman, among others. The chair for today's seminar is Professor Alka Acharya. Professor Acharya is the chairperson at the Center for East Asian Studies, JNU, New Delhi, and director of the ICS New Delhi. She has also been a member of the India-China Eminent Persons Group and served 2 terms on the National Security Advisory Board of the Government of India. Her latest publication is titled Boundaries and Borderlands, a Century After 1914 Simla Convention. Her research interests include India, China, Russia, trilateral cooperation, and Chinese strategic response to the post-Cold War regional architecture, with special reference to China's neighborhood. Before I hand over to the chair, I would ask all the participants to follow a few housekeeping rules. All participants shall be muted during the seminar. Questions may be posted in the chat box along with your name and affiliation. Alternatively, you may use the raise your hand option during the interactive session. You shall then be called upon to unmute yourself. Thank you. I'll now hand it over to your chair. Over to you, Professor Alka Acharya. Thank you.
Thank you, Manikaran. A very, very warm and happy welcome to all of you who have joined us here today. Um, Let me begin by wishing all our listeners here a very happy year of the snake. And this is the start of the new calendar. And while there are many interpretations of what the snake is supposed to represent, there are things like transformation, renewal. I think I prefer to take its usage in the sense of shedding negativity and embracing positivity. So, in the spirit of shedding negativity, I greet you all and would also like to, as the director of the institute, would like to draw your attention to our introducer's backdrop, which speaks about the multi-year doctoral fellowship that the ICS offers. And I take this opportunity to once again invite young researchers to apply for this most prestigious fellowship. All details are available on our website. Um, I am more than delighted to actually welcome my colleague and honorary fellow at the ICS, Professor Sandip Mishra, to talk to us today about what I'm sure is baffling many of us in this country. It's a bizarre thing that suddenly burst upon our senses, even for a lifelong East Asia watcher like me. Um, it did not make much sense. I mean, one read a lot about it. There are so many different facets, and I'm sure that in the next 35, 40 minutes, it'll be very difficult for Professor Sandip Mishra to cover the entire thing. It is being described as historic, unprecedented, disaster politically, economically, socially. So there are many different aspects of this crisis, and what I think would help us, Sandeep, is if you could focus and zoom in on giving us a sense of why this, what happened, what happened, why did suddenly President Yoon take this decision to throw martial law on the country, and so what happened really, and why does this come about? If you could sort of help us grasp this, then I think questions can follow. At the moment, we are all still we now read commentaries which are talking about how it is not just a political crisis for Korea, but it is going to create unprecedented security crises and challenges for the region. It ostensibly it was to keep North Korean communists in check, but then we see that many other things are happening. So all in all, a bizarre phenomenon, which I hope we will be able to grasp better once your talk is over. So over to you, Sandeep.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, ma'am, for giving me this opportunity to speak at ICS Wednesday seminar. It's also special for me because, after a very, very long time, you and myself, we are together formally on a platform where we are dealing with Korea, actually. Long back, you supervised my PhD, so 15 years back, almost 15, 16 years back. So again, I think together for Korea on one platform. So thank you very much for inviting me. Yes, I think it's a very complex issue, and I think there are several aspects of it which are quite intriguing for lots of Korea watchers. That's why I thought that so one part of my presentation is describing what happened. And in the second part, basically, I will try to comprehend what happened and why, like how it happened in the manner it happened. So these are the two parts of my main presentation. And in last, I think one slide, I may talk about what could be the future. So I'll start by sharing my slide. Just a minute. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah, so the title of my presentation is Political Crisis in South Korea, Context and Contours. And in this slide, basically, I have given the glimpse of my presentation that it's basically a kind of more general.
Sandeep, can you make it a slideshow so that it is bigger?
I tried last time, but did not happen. So I'll try again. Is it okay? Is this happening? Slideshow? It's visible?
No, it's still, we've got the left-hand side panels.
We tried also earlier, but I think.
Okay, carry on. Let's go ahead.
So anyway, so basically, I tried to make this presentation general, and I would like to make it clear that it's not going to be a very research kind of article or presentation. It's more kind of general comprehension of this phenomena, and that's why I am going to make a very general lecture on this topic. As you know, as Alka ma'am also said, that what happened on 3rd of December 2024 night was really unprecedented, very surprising for not only Koreans, but Korean watchers abroad also. Suddenly, 10:30 night, President Yoon Suk-yeol of South Korea, he declared emergency martial law in the country. Not only that, he sent troops to National Assembly and also to National Election Commission. He tried, I think, to put everything on cease, but probably in brief, if I have to describe, so in this introduction, I'm just giving you brief what happened. But it seems that different forces, police personnel, bureaucracy, and even people, they were not in sync with desire of President Yoon Suk-yeol. they did not cooperate, or they cooperated very hesitantly, very reluctantly. And ultimately, National Assembly of South Korea, they were able to have a meeting at midnight. And in midnight meeting, out of 300 members, 198 members, they were present at that point of time, and they passed a resolution in which they recommended President take back his emergency martial law declaration. So in a way, within 6-7 hours, because by early morning, around 4 o'clock, 4 a.m., 4th of December, Yonsei withdrew his emergency martial law declaration. So I think this was the brief, you can say, thing which happened. Then I think National Assembly came to, you can say, action. Next day, impeachment motion was basically put into National Assembly. 7th of December, it was supposed to be voted, but minimum 200 members were not able to be, you can say, they were not able to participate, and it did not happen on 7th of December. But second attempt happened on 14th of December, and finally 14th of December, National Assembly of South Korea impeached President Yonsei. I think the matter has been gone to Constitutional Court, and I think it's going to be deliberated. It's already, there are going to be overall 8 hearings, and 4 hearings have been completed until 23rd of December. The next hearing is the 3rd because it's a new year, and I think you can say a holiday period in South Korea. So next hearing, 5th hearing is going to be on 5th. So we'll talk about all these things. So just to, you can see the pictures. In the first picture, troops, they are entering into National Assembly. And the second picture, the troop is basically could be seen in the National Election Commission office. We'll talk about that, why they went to National Election Office. So in brief, I told you that these are the things which happened, that martial law declaration, nullifying of martial law declaration, then I think impeachment motion round 1, and impeachment motion round 2, and now the matter is in the Constitutional Court. Now, when we look at martial law, you can see this is the proclamation of martial law command. This is the original text of it. And you can see that there are 6 provisions. And out of 6 provisions, there are 2 things which are very strange in this proclamation. One is provision 1, in which it says that even activities of National Assembly is going to be also, you can say, prohibited. It's really, really strange, because if you look at Article 77 of Republic of Korea's Constitution, which gives President right to proclaim martial law, you can see that there is no provision to stop National Assembly. Actually, if you look at the last one, or say second last one, that if National Assembly is going to work continuously, and if they recommend President that he has to remove the national martial law, he had no choice but to go by suggestions of National Assembly. But I think National Assembly was also, you can say, prohibited, and that was really strange. And that's why people became quite worried, and I think sending troops that also reflected. So I think we'll come to all these issues. And the second interesting thing was that activity, they talk about what is called trainee doctors, the 5th provision of proclamation of martial law command. Trainee doctors, because actually many of you may be aware that Yonsei, I think a year back, he suddenly increased 40% seats of medical students. And that was quite opposed by medical lobby. And there have been lots of strike going on across the Korean health sector. And he had been quite worried about that. So he probably tried to resolve that also through this proclamation. Anyway, we'll come to that. So this is a brief. I think you can see, you may not be able to understand Korean, but I will say that at 10:28 night, he announced this martial law. At 1:01 a.m., 4th, next day, National Assembly, in a way, recommended to nullify it. And on early morning, 4:27, he basically took back this martial law. Now, when the matter went for impeachment, this was again a very shocking news for many Koreans, and lots of people, they came on streets and they started protesting. That's why impeachment motion happened. But for any motion, impeachment motion to be passed in National Assembly, at least 200 member support is required out of 300 member National Assembly. And opposition party, they are not having more than 192 seats. 108 seats belong to ruling party, that's People's Power Party, Yonsei's party. And those people, they did not participate. Actually, 3 of them, they participated. And all other 105 people, they did not participate. In first time, when on 7th December, the impeachment was proposed. And that's why you can see that a newspaper called Hangere, there are many newspapers, and many newspapers they publish, but Hangere published next day on 8th of December, pictures of all the 105 members of Korea's People's Power Party, saying that these are the people who did not support and this impeachment motion, and they must be punished by people in elections. So all these things happened, and I think meanwhile, President was very defiant. He said that, look, I'm not going to. My intent was right. I had right to, because as I told you that Article 77 of Korean Constitution, it gives right to president to have emergency martial law. So I have done nothing wrong. So he kept on saying that, and basically he said that anti-state forces are very active in Korea. They are not allowing government to work. He wanted to have some investigation for fraudulent election. We'll talk about that, fraudulent election of National Assembly, which happened in April 2024. So he kept on talking about all those reasons. And on that reasons, he said that I proclaimed that. Now, meanwhile, so one leg is that he was impeached by National Assembly. The matter is in Constitutional Court. On another leg, you can see that there is an office called CIO. It's basically Corruption Investigation Office for high-ranking officials. So this Corruption Investigation Office of high-ranking official, CIO they call it. So this CIO, they also separately started investigation about this case. And they summoned twice to Yonsei. He did not respond to those summons. Then they went to court, and the court gave them detention right. And they tried to, multiple times, they tried to reach out and capture him, but he was not actually able to, he was not ready to come and cooperate. Actually, lots of People's Power, they were protesting in front of his and I think this creates a big problem, law and order, for almost 20 days, because this so-called CIO office people, they used to go with lots of police personnel to, you can say, to detain Yonsei, and supporters were from 2,000 to 10,000 in number. They were not allowed to do so. That kept happening, and Yonsei was basically sending lots of say letters to them. Actually, there are also, you can see the second picture. I think he also started providing them some kind of certificate that they are basically trying to defend Chayu Minju Chui, they call it, liberal democracy in Korea, and they are very, you can say, very committed citizen of Korea. So he, in a way, started creating all those, you can say, kinds of, you can say, fault lines in Korean society, which were already there. But I think you can see that whenever he wrote some letters, whenever he made some statement directly or indirectly, I think those were printed and they were distributed by the supporters in those rallies. And you can see this picture. I think here, this is basically the president residency there. And the first gate is here. So first gate, second gate, third gate, and then you can enter into. And lots of, you can say, protesters, they were here. There was some barricading also at this place also, this place also. And Presidential Security Service, they were not allowing those people to go. But finally, he was being arrested and I think he was sent to detention center. Then what happened that the matter basically after 2 days they have to send it to court matter. The matter went to court, and court basically allowed this office, CIO office, to arrest Yonsei. So he was done. The arrest was also done, and then I think when the CIO, because the problem was that CIO is basically corruption investigating agency. So they have limited workforce, they have limited experience. They are something like what you call in India Lokpal. So they had limited experience. So they decided that if we are not able to handle this case, why should not we give this case to what is called prosecutor office? So he gave it to prosecutor office, and now it's with prosecutor office. So my point is that there are two parallel developments happening. One is at Constitutional Court of Korea, where his impeachment issue is going to be decided. And there is another process going on, basically, which is done by CIO, prosecutor office, as well as police. They are basically looking at criminality of his action. So there are two things happening, and that they are creating lots of problems. So we'll talk about that. Now, why he declared martial law? There are, you can say, two sides of story. The opposition parties who impeached Yonsei, they are saying that there was no emergency situation. Everything was going quite well. Actually, even some ruling party members also, member of National Assembly, they also said that when we heard this declaration, we were surprised. We thought that probably it's some joke or something, some fake video. But then they realized that it's real. Then, as I told you in the beginning, that in every case, National Assembly should not have been, intervened. But there are reports that Yonsei ordered the National Assembly Speaker, leader of opposition, leader of ruling party, and other people. There are other 4-5 people. They must be arrested, and they've been put into a bunker. This is really strange. Not only that, it was also, I think, still these allegations are not still proven. There are many versions going on, but there are also some allegations that Yonsei instructed authorities that they can create some problem with North Korea, and even some American soldiers should also be killed, so that it appears that North Korea has attacked American soldiers, they have been killed, and now this is an emergency situation. So rather than being in an emergency situation and declaring martial law, he declared martial law and then wanted to create emergency situation. This was really quite, you can say, unacceptable. And not that he declared that he is going to have some kind of body which is going to take place in the National Assembly. And he even tried to have how funding is done for that institution. That was also done. And they say that, okay, he said that anti-state forces or opposition members, they are not allowing him to work. But they say that even if that's there, the thing is, any political problem must be dealt politically. You can't start using martial law provision to deal with political contests in your country. Yonsei said that no, this is not the real version of the story. The actual version is that actually I was so strangulated, opposition parties who captured National Assembly, because actually National Assembly, there are 300 seats. Out of 300 seats, I told you that April 2024, around 192 seats were won by opposition parties. So then he was quite, and he said that they were not allowing us to work. And that way, I had no choice but to warn opposition, warn people that how dire situation is. And this, he said that martial law declaration, it was not meant for long time. It was meant for 2-3 days. So that people understand that how difficult it is for him to make policy and implement policy. He also said that other rumors that we were trying to kill others, we were trying to, arrest opposition leaders and National Assembly members and National Assembly Speaker, those are false. And he said that this happened, like sending troops to National Assembly was probably a mistake. And that mistake, he said that I did not do it. Basically, that provision was included by his then defense minister, who mistakenly put it there. So he had been trying to justify, and he is saying that, look, E.J. Meng, E.J. Meng is basically the leader of opposition party, Liberal Democratic Party. It's called Dabur Minjudang. So they say that, look, he had been, I think, he had been trying to play politics, and he was that as soon as this Yoon Suk Yeol goes, he will become the candidate from opposition party, and he could be having a chance to become next president of South Korea. But a corruption case, and other, you can say, election. There are 5 cases which are pending in courts for E.J. Meng, and one of them is going to be in appeal tribunal, and it's going to be decided within this month. I think it was supposed to be decided by 15th of February, but now it's going to be decided by 26th of February. So before E.J. Meng is punished by appeal tribunal, opposition party, they want to create some you can say some issues, and they want to get Yoon Suk Yeol out from the scene. So these are the 2 versions. Now try to go to basics and say that why martial law? Yoon is saying because there was fraud election, they were, like, say, anti-state forces, they were suffocating by budget cut, removal of his appointees, and opposition say that no, he did it because he was becoming unpopular, he was not able to run the government, and also he wanted to save his wife. We'll come to that. So that was also, I think, so there are 2, you can say, sides of story. Unpopularity, yes, you can see that how, if you look at, I think you may not be able to do it properly, but you can see that from the very beginning, in May 2022, Yoon Suk Yeol became president of South Korea. Soon, the disapproval rating of Yoon Suk Yeol has been going up and up and up, and his approval rating is going down and down and down. At one point of time, he had just 70% approval rating. So it's really bad, and that's what basically opposition party suffocating. You know that, I think, after April 2024, when opposition became strong in National Assembly, they started putting pressure, and they tried to stop the appointments he made, or they wanted to remove those people who were already appointed. They also tried to cut budget. I think around you can say 3 to 5 billion. There are different estimates. They wanted to cut. So all these created problem for him, and basically many people say that it was post April 2024, Yoon Suk Yeol decided to have this kind of. But many others, they say, I think still is not proven, but the last point in the slide, you can see that even before elections, you can see that he had meeting with National Defense Minister, with National Intelligence Service Director, and also Presidential Security Service Director. And probably they were talking about some kind of martial law. So I think different versions are there. What is the current status? I told you that there are 2 things. One, Constitutional Court, because the matter was sent to Constitutional Court on 14th of December, and as per provision in Constitutional Court, within 6 months, they have to decide. So by 14th of June 2025, they have to decide. But in all probability, it seems that by end of February, some decision from Constitutional Court may come. At another level, I told you that in the Corruption Investigating Agency and other, you can say, body, they are basically they are trying to deal with this issue on their own. So this is one part of my story, that is basically what happened. We'll keep coming to that in case it's required. But now coming to how do we comprehend it? I try to differentiate into 3 different variables, 3 different domains, which have been three different variables, domains, or say regions, we have been coming together. And because of that, this unprecedented and surprising thing happened in South Korea. The first is basically immediate reason. The second is some structural problem in South Korean polity. And the third is then some new elements which are coming, not only in South Korean polity, but also across the globe in different polities. So we will talk about all of them one by one. Now, before going to that, let's talk about Yoon Suk Yeol. Yoon Suk Yeol, basically, if you know about his past, he was a normal prosecutor. But what happened that in 2017, when Park Geun-hye was impeached, Moon Jae-in, the next president, he gave him some responsibility. And he performed those responsibilities quite well. Basically, previous President Lee Myung-pak and previous President Park Geun-hye both were basically they were investigated by Yoon Suk Yeol successfully. So he became very can say good boy for Moon Jae-in, and Moon Jae-in he was from Democratic Party. He appointed him Prosecutor General. He became Prosecutor General, and everything was going quite well with Moon Jae-in and Yoon Suk Yeol. But what happened that one of the presidential secretary, his name is Cho Guk. Cho Guk, basically, Moon Jae-in wanted to make Cho Guk next justice minister in Korea. And incidentally, Cho Guk was also from Seoul National University, few years junior to Yoon Suk Yeol, and probably they did not like each other, something like that. I have no idea, but I think there are reports that Yoon Suk Yeol did not like him. So he went to Moon Jae-in and said that, please don't appoint Cho Guk as Justice Minister of Korea. Yoon Suk Yeol said that this is none of your business. I'm going to appoint whomever I want to appoint. And he was appointed, but Yoon Suk Yeol became very vindictive. He tried to find out any problem, all problems in Cho Guk history. He said that his Cho Guk wife had some corruption charges. His daughter tried to plagiarize marksheet and some you can say dishonesty in publication. So he tried to bring, because he was anyway chief of prosecutor general, he was prosecutor general. So he tried to bring all corruption allegations on Cho Guk, and finally Cho Guk had to resign within a month, almost in a month, he had to resign from his office. And then Moon Jae-in and Yoon Suk Yeol, they came face to face. One is president of South Korea, another is basically prosecutor general. Moon Jae-in was a very democratic person, so he tried not to remove him by force, and he allowed processes to continue. And in the process, what happened that Yoon Suk Yeol became very popular among opposition party, that is Conservative Party, that is People's Power Party. They realized, because they were very feeling bad because their two presidents, Lee Myung-pak and Park Geun-hye, they were both in jail. So they thought that now in Yoon Suk Yeol, we have a person who can fight against Moon Jae-in, and maybe after his presidency, he can put him into jail, or something like that. Some kind of say desire to, you can say, take you can say revenge. That kind of actually there's something called some scholars, they said that Yoon Suk Yeol was product of what is called Boksu politics, Boksu Changchi. Boksu is basically to take revenge. So that was the reason why he became popular among conservative. He resigned from prosecutor general. He became candidate from Conservative Party. He won election. So I think he had been trying to move. So we can keep talking about that. If you look at his personality, there are lots of strange things in his personality. One is that I think he like, suppose from very beginning he created like lots of. There was something called Blue House in Korea. He said that I'm going to move president office from there to a very crowded place. It is called near Itaewon, Yongsan area. Like, this was again a very strange thing. Then he said that he's going to increase medical seats 40%. suddenly, which were freeze for so. Then he said that when there was you can say in a Itaewon area, it's near to Yongsan, where his residence is, in a Halloween some gathering, more than 150 people died. And he said that, look, he did not say that way, but I think the meaning was that, look, state can't do anything. If private gathering, people are dying, what can I do? That kind of response. Not only that, World Expo, Korea wanted for 2030, that he was not. So many things started happening. Also, very strange thing about his, basically, that he is married to a 12-year younger person called Kim Kun-hee. Kim Kun-hee is also slightly controversial person. Actually, many of you must be knowing about, so I'll talk about her, but I think he has also many reporters, many news personalities, they say that he has drinking habit. So what happened that he has tendency to brag himself. Many people say that all these things combined further becomes deadly because he is guided by somebody whose name is Changong. I'll show you that. This is the person Changong, left-hand side. And you know, when he was fighting elections, presidential elections in May, June 2022, it was reported that Changong told that, why don't you write king on your palm? That will ensure. So he went to a presidential debate on a news media platform, and he wrote on his palm, it's written in Chinese king, Chinese character. So that kind of things he not only that, many people say that the decision to move his office from original Blue House to Yongsan area was also basically because Changong told, the guru told that, look, it is going to be inauspicious for you and you may die there. So that's why he changed. So all these weird things are told about him. The other idiosyncratic factors could be like, say, his wife. If you look at his wife, again, I think a very difficult personality to comprehend. She changed her name. There are allegations that she had some corruption in some exhibition thing. Then I think he manipulated stock. There are allegations that he forged her resume. There are allegations that her master thesis at Sukman University and PhD thesis at PhD at Kunming University and master at Sukman University. Both of them, they are plagiarized. There are other, you can see they, but most of the, you can say the most popular thing which happened was that she accepted a bag, a luxury bag by somebody, and that was basically captured in video. That became a big issue in Korean thing. So there are lots of, you can see that her bag, which is basically presented. And second picture above, you can see that plagiarism charges are being investigated by Sukman Deakyo and Gumin Deakyo, that they're the people. So I think this is another. So one part is basically because Yoon Suk Yeol, his wife, had a special personality. This created one of the reasons, and very important reason, I will say, why it happened. This what happened. This declaration of martial law and this political chaos in South Korean politics. So I would like to say that this also played very, very important role. Now the second part, I would say, as I told you, that there is some inherent problem in South Korean polity. That basically South Korea is a country which is basically very weak. Party system is very weak, but conservative and progressive divide is very, very strong. You can see that actually somebody told that there is not two Korea, South and North Korea, but there are three Korea. One is North Korea, and in South Korea, within South Korea, there are two Korea. So you can see this is also another, you can say, aspect of Korean politics. Region-wise, they are decided. I can show you this picture. You can see right-hand side. Right-hand side, this is basically Gyeongsang North and South province. You can see Gangwon province. Generally, conservative political party, they perform here quite well. You go to western side, especially this Honam region, Cholla North and Cholla South province, you can see that Liberal Party, Democratic Party is quite popular. So this divide is there. Not only that, in Korean politics, you can also see gender divide. I can show you. Like, for example, look at this thing. That usually older people, they support Conservative Party, and younger people, they support Progressive Party or Democratic Party. But nowadays, there is another interesting move that even younger generation, people who are in 20s and 30s, especially male members, they are supporting Conservative political party. So there are lots of issues are there, and I think weak institutions also are there, and I think politics of vendetta is also there. Now, look at the last three presidents. You know, Lee Myung-pak, the first Park, he had some corruption charges. He was put into jail, and he had been facing those court orders even now, like for several years. I think he spent in jail more than 5 years. Still, he is basically having lots of cases going on him. You can see the next president, Park Geun-hye. She was impeached. We know 2017 she was impeached, and again she was put into jail. And now the third one, President Yoon Suk-yeol. Even before that, if you look at Kim Yong-sam, he was also arrested once because of some corruption charges. Before that, Chandu Won and Notebu, they were also, Chandu Won was basically given life sentence, and Notebu was given almost, I think, 18 or 20-year jail sentence because of corruption charges, because of like say some kind of because Gwangju incident, Chandu Won basically, Gwangju massacre, something happened. So it's a very difficult political history in Korea. You can see the president of South Korea so far, from Lee Seung-man to Yoon Suk-yeol, and you can see that almost everybody had, I think, a difficult time once they completed their term. Like Nomuhyun, he committed suicide because there were some corruption allegations on him. Lee Seung-man, the first president, he was sent. He had to flew to Hawaii, and he never came back to Korea after 1960. So it's a very I'd say that the institution, the process are still not mature in Korea. One thing which probably many of us may not be aware here, that Korea is a very, you can say, apart from formal institutions, there are informal institutions who have been working in Korea, and they are very powerful. Like lots of important positions in South Korea, they are being taken by graduates from Seoul National University. If you go and take a list of Korean ambassador to India, you will find that more than 60-70% people, they would be from only Seoul National University. So this university ties are there, high school ties are there. Long back also, I have mentioned about Hanaway. Hanaway was also a very famous, can say, body. It was inside military. It was created. There are many, can say, stages. It was Chilsangway, and then it became Hanaway. You can see that how Chandu Won, Notebu, Park, all of them, they got benefited of this thing. And there was a formal military chain of command, and there was informal Hanaway chain of command. And Park Chung, like Chandu Won and Notebu especially, they utilized this informal Hanaway, and they created, they sustained their rule in Korea, authoritarian rule. I think there are also, you must say about, in politics, it's called TK Mafia, Daegu Gyeongsang North Mafia, and then PK Mafia, because when Kim Il-sung became president, he was from Busan area, so then it became Busan Gyeongsang South Mafia. In this case also, I will tell you why I mentioned, because there's something called Chungam High School. Chungam is name of a region and basically a locality located in Seoul. And there's a high school name is Chungam High School. And many of the people who have been part of this martial law, they are part of this Chungam High School. For example, you can see that, I'll just a minute. You can see that many highest positions were given to this Chungam faction, which Chungam group, actually, whatever you want to call. And now they call it Yonsei group. You can see that defense minister, other, you can say, military officers, they were coming from this group. And that's why it created a kind of informal network which were not legal, which should not have been promoted in a democratic polity. It's really because of weak institution in South Korea. Not only that, since he was from prosecutor office, you can see that he put lots of prosecutors into government. You can see somebody called Han Dong-hun. Han Dong-hun was very close to him. So he was made first justice minister, and then he resigned and he became chairman of ruling party, that is People's Power Party. Actually, after this martial law declaration, he had to resign and a new president has been chosen in People's Power Party. But you can see that how he tried to. So in a way, many people say, because so many prosecutors, they came into power, that's called, what is called, basically, Khamchal Dara. Basically, prosecutor country it became. Those kind of cartoons were published in Korea. So I think because of these, I can see key positions, how he had put all those people from his own high school or university, or maybe his own, you can say, acquaintance prosecution office. So you can see how he tried to, and that led to another. So I think some structural problem. The second part I wanted to underline that there are some fault lines, there are some tendencies, there are some structural issues in Korean polity, which also could be blamed for this incident which happened. Though by themselves they don't create such emergency, I think they are there. They are breeding ground of this kind of intolerance, hatred, and kind of non-accommodation in politics. Now, the third part I would like to say is basically the new age where truth is not very, you can say, absolute. It's a post-truth society. So what happened that, it's like people are more driven by their emotions and less by reason. For example, Yonsei himself, on multiple occasions, he has made these statements saying that he doesn't watch mainstream media. He watches YouTubes. And YouTubes also, basically, those YouTubes, the far-right groups, which are making lots of false claims, conspiracy theories. And one of those conspiracy theories is basically that 2024 elections, April elections, even 2020 National Assembly election, but say 2024, it had been a fraudulent election. And they say that elections were intervened, like there were Chinese and North Korean interventions in election process. Now, the issue is that National Intelligence Services of South Korea, they had investigated part of it. And their conclusion was that, look, there are some problems that must be rectified, but there is no evidence that China or North Korea or anybody intervened in 2024 April elections. So in a way, not only that, nobody from Korea, they say that fraud voting happened, extra voting happened, somebody who had votes, they were not given opportunity to vote. But the thing is, no individual has come out and said that these are the problems. I was not allowed to vote. More strangely, the party, let's say ruling party, People's Power Party, which got only 108 seats, even those people, they don't say that there have been election fraud in 2024. So basically, what is the source of this information? Nothing. It's basically those conspiracy theorists, those YouTubers. And Yonsei believes that. So, and because of that, I think he started behaving in a very you can say he thought that he wanted to have, you can say, control over the data of National Election Commission. And National Election Commission decided not to allow that. They said, look, you have some investigation if you want through proper procedure, but we can't submit that data to you. And I think it's very strange. Actually, many people who have been studying Korea, they must be knowing that, in 2022 elections, South Korean presidential election I'm talking about, Yonsei and Lee, they were two candidates, one from Conservative Party, one from Progressive Party. Yonsei himself, he won by just 0.7% margin. He got just 0.7% more votes than Lee. But generally, it's quite, you can say, trusted. The election process in South Korea, there is not a single big allegation or say big, you can say evidence or say that South Korean elections have been interfered from outside or from within. So I think these are very, but what happens, they create that kind of situation, the social media, conspiracy theory, YouTube. And I would like to say that there was a very interesting reporting in New York Times saying that this is caused, this present crisis in South Korea is caused by fear and algorithm of the YouTube. YouTube basically what they do, they basically create kind of I think bubble in which you only watch your preferred type of programs, and basically they don't allow that opposite or say contrary opinions or contrary analysis and facts. They should they become inaccessible. I think because of all these reasons also, especially in conservative groups, there was strong desire to you can say that we are not able to prevail. Party, they are in the National Assembly. They are not allowing our appointment to happen. They're not allowing budget to pass. So that kind of, you can say, things also they created. And as I told you that the matter is now in Constitutional Court. Constitutional Court normally in Korea is a 9-member court, but at present, actually, when this impeachment was done by National Assembly, only 6 members were there. 3 members were recommended by National Assembly again, and out of 3 members, 2 members have been granted to become, actually, because National Assembly, there are actually 9 out, 3 members are recommended by National Assembly, 3 members by Chief Judge of the. So you can see the first 2 appointed by Moon Jae-in. This fifth judge was appointed by Yonsei. So 3 presidential candidates are already there. You can see other also. So right now there are 8 judges, and any process, any impeachment process to be deliberated in Constitutional Court, 6 members are required. Now they have become 8, so they are going to, they have been doing it well. Let's see what happens. There are all probability that they will be. Now, if you look at the ruling and opposition party, they are saying that ruling party is saying that, look, we are not in support of declaration of martial law, but we support Yonsei. They say that we have to somehow keep our support base intact, and we need to, you can say, think about elections which may happen in next 2 to 5 months. So they want to make their strategy as per that calculation. Ruling party, they want to utilize this political opportunity. They want that Yonsei must be punished as soon as possible. And they want that not only Yonsei, but his own team, like his own associate must be also punished. Now, coming back to last slide of my presentation, I think in all probability, when Constitutional Court gives judgment, and in probably they will support impeachment, I think this crisis is going to subside. In political crisis in South Korea is going to subside. So it means that basically the first variable I told you, the first region, first set of regions, like the idiosyncratic factor, like Yoon Suk Yeol, his mistakes or his wife's mistake, or say those things are going to disappear definitely. But and South Korea may come to, you can say, slightly normal political functioning. But I don't think that in near future, how the second and third region, third set of regions. Second, the structural problem in South Korean polity, where conservative and progressive are so divided, they are so intolerant to each other. I think how they are going to, and it's not they are divided in gender-wise, region-wise, age-wise. So it's really very how we are going to solve this problem. This is going to be and the third is basically, as I told you, that a new kind of digital media, a new kind of communication and political socializations is happening across the country, including South Korea. And in this kind of socialization, we see that there is no emphasis on cooperation, tolerance, acceptance, accommodation to other party, but rather trying to win the whole, trying to bulldoze the other, trying to, you can say, overpower any oppositional or any, you can say, contesting view. This is going to again remain the same. So my basic I'll say that I think this crisis is a strange crisis happen in Korea. It may subside soon, but I think there are some structural issues within Korea at the same time, polity in general across the globe, which must be addressed by all of us. And we have to ponder over them how to do that. Thank you very much.
Well, I really find this what an amazing saga. I think some enterprising young filmmaker in Korea must already be writing a script. I mean, it's got all the ingredients of a total potboiler. Now, I'm struck by two aspects. I've just raised them here, and then we can open it up for discussion, and then maybe you could see how to address them. That the point about you said the fragility or the weakness of the democratic institutions. And I wonder how this weakness or fragility emerges at, I mean, at what point in, say, a polity do these, so either you are suggesting that these were fundamentally flawed in to begin with, and when a crisis happens, the fault lines get exposed, and the structural factors begin to show that these are not really rooted into the political ethos, and that eventually institutions become not the steel frame which will support the democracy, but institutions become the manipulative kind of agencies which can support whichever dispensation is in power. Now, what is the reason? Why is it that political institutions could reach this point? The second thing, that we are now looking at a history of almost, I mean, if we look at the democratic processes beginning in South Korea since the early 90s, but taking effect in the late 90s, then solidifying over. So we are still looking at a quarter of a century where democratic politics has had an opportunity to sort of sink its roots. So clearly, this period has not really been characterized or marked by across the board kind of it's like a compact that this democratic frame has to be supported and certain kind of norms must be not violated. So this has not happened. So from what I hear from you is that the kind of divides that you're talking about obviously means that the democratic process is again a very superficial kind of, that ultimately we have historical legacies, cultural factors, even things like superstition and so on, exercising. So to that extent, I feel that somewhere the compact, political compact in South Korea, and maybe even other Asian democracies, um, is not really internalized the spirit of democracy as the people's power. So just with those few kind of thoughts that came into my mind as I was listening to you, I will open it up. You can come back on these issues later. Let's see if there are other um, questions or comments or interventions from the floor. Manikaran, are there any questions in the chat box?
Yes, Professor Acharya. There's one from Rekha J. She's a research intern at ICS.
Yeah.
She asks, how did the declaration of martial law and impeachment of president impact South Korea's international reputation as a developed nation?
All right, good question.
So should I can say,
Yeah, you can respond.
Other can, yeah.
Mm.
I think I will start with Rekha's question. I think it's really important, and I think lots of people they are worried about that. Definitely, it's going to negatively impact South Korean image because South Korea is supposed to be a developed country. They are a member of OECD country. It's definitely going to, because if you look at economic capacity of South Korea, if you look at technological capacity of South Korea, like in all possible, can say, even cultural capacity. You go to even small places, even in India, lots of people, they are very fond of Korean drama, Korean pop music and other things. So when they see that politics is behaving like this, they are going to really be quite disappointed. So definitely it's going to have image problem for South Korea. But at the same time, what I'm trying to say that, look, uh, uh, normally democratic polity, it takes some time to become mature. Now I'm coming to uh, Alka ma'am's question, that what happened that in South Korea, what happened that again, democracy as a form of organizing your political affair is not adopted by Koreans. What happened that 1945, by chance, in southern part of Korea, American, not by chance, actually by American plan, they came and they occupied that area and they established a democratic government in South Korea. The first person who was appointed as president of South Korea, Syngman Rhee, he was 72-year-old. And when he used to say in Korean, if people they know Korean, I think he used to always make speeches saying tum. In Hindi, where you have tum and aap. So he used to, most of the time when he was speaking, because he was 72-year-old, he had lots of you can say in a way arrogance. So, and what happened that Asian society, they have somehow uh, acceptance for higher hierarchical, you can say, behavior. So I think South Korea was not very different. And I think, and then Syngman Rhee, he became more and more authoritarian. Then he was thrown out by public uprising. Then so a brief period of time, there was some democratic government, less than a year or around a year. And then you see Park Chung-hee, a military dictatorship, is taking up in 1960 and 61 actually. And from 61 up to 1979, he was there. Then Chandu Won, his junior, was there till 1987. Then a democratic constitution came. Ma'am, actually, you asked me that 19. It's a very interesting. Many people say that when Korea became a real democracy, the answer is 1987 constitution. Earlier also they had constitution, but 1987 was really a very, you can say, which is still followed by Korea. That was basically the turning point. But many people say that no, because 1987, even though Korea had free and fair elections, the problem is the person who got elected president, Notewu, he was having military background. He was basically junior to Chandu Won. So Park Chung-hee, Chandu Won, and Notewu. So again, military leader is becoming president. So you can't say that democracy has come. So then say, no, 1992 when Kim Young-sam became president. But the problem is that Kim Young-sam, though he was a civilian leader, but he had alliance and he became part of Democratic Justice Party, DJP, which was Notewu party, the Chanduban Notewu Pakchangi party, the same part. So if ruling party leader is becoming president, then again you say that this is not the real democracy. So some people say that no, 1997 when Kim Dae-jung became. So my point is basically that it's a process of maturization. South Korean democratic polity is not very old, I'll say. And more than political progress, South Korea has done tremendous progress in economic and technological development. So polity is still not, you can say, very much democratized. Still, I think South Korea, I think if you look at and you have a survey in South Korea, who is the most popular previous president of South Korea, still Park Chung-hee would be the number one. He was an authoritarian ruler, but he is still number one ruler because people say that ultimate, and I wrote one article in Korea Times long back, and the issue was that, look, in our India, we can see that we had debate even during our freedom struggle that what is the relationship between means and end. So Gandhi and others, they were arguing that, look, to have a good mean, because a good end, you need to have a good means also. It's not that you can use any means and achieve a good end. But probably in South Korean political sphere, this issue has not been. Actually, if you look at all the presidents across the political parties, all of them, they have been charged to be corrupt, charged to be taking bribe, charged to be making, you can say, and not only that, you'll be surprised to know when you come to power, there are things which you do, probably they may come to some public institutions radar and you may be caught. There was a very famous person called No Wei Chan. No Wei Chan was supposed to be, he was member of parliament from Justice Party, which is slightly leftist party. And he was very much admired as a great personality. No Wei Chan was also had some charges that he took money and he committed suicide. So my point is that it's a old, you can say, story that it's basically Asian society, they have their own traits which are still not disappeared. One. Two, democracy, they are learning. There are institutions which are becoming stronger. You can see how this time military, police, they did not fully cooperated with Yoon Suk-yeol. Otherwise, it would have been, you can say, it would have been successful, the martial law. So I think they have been learning, but I think it takes time. And that's why I will say that this strange thing happened. And I think image, I will come back to image again. And I think that when suppose somebody who's studying Korea, I will say that rather than looking at one incident, it's a problem area in South Korean polity, South Korean image. We need to accept it, we need to admit it. But at the same time, we also need to understand so many other things which are happening. For example, there was a book by Farid Zakaria. He wrote a book called, he wrote first an article and then converted into a book called Illiberal Democracy, Rise of Illiberal Democracy. And in that, he had a formulation saying that if any country reaches around 5,000, 7,000 US dollar per capita income, then I think it cannot remain authoritarian, or rather, it's difficult to go back to authoritarian. So I hope that we need to be aware about South Korea, which is 35,000 US dollar per capita income. So I think these kind of activities, they are not suited to that kind of economy. It happened because all the three, they came together. And I did not talk much about the third set of issue. I'm talking about digital media, WhatsApp University. Actually, they have also WhatsApp University kind of thing. So I think I'll say that we need to address, otherwise all the society, they are getting divided into different bubbles, which are not interacting, not learning, not accommodating each other. So I'll stop.
There are a few more questions, Professor.
Yes.
First one is from Rape Malikal, sir. He's asking about the role of chaebols and the influence on the East Asia region and power equations in the world. Should I also include the second one, or we would move one by one?
Yeah, no, I think you just say the read out the second one as well, and then Sandeep can address them. And I think we are coming to the end of our time, so we can then wrap up.
The second one is from Professor Thampi. She has asked about the trends which you have highlighted and the in the current crisis in South Korea. Her point here is that the trends you have highlighted have been contributed to the crisis in South Korea seem to be increasingly true for democracies around the world. Would you agree to this? And the political compact seems to be breaking down in many such societies. Can we put the present situation in South Korea in a larger context around the world? So these are the two questions.
Yeah, I think the first question about Chebos and I think this incident, I don't have any information till now which connects these problems with Chebos. Actually, but I'm aware that South Korean polity, lots of Chebos, they play a very important role. They support political parties from behind, and leaders also, the top leaders, any administration, they also support their chebos when they work in different countries, also in the country. So I think there could be some linkages, but I think they have not been reported yet. And I think they have not been debated because, I very religiously try to follow like Chojan Hill, like the conservative one big newspaper and progressive newspaper almost daily. So not a single article saying that Chebos are anyway connected. In previous crisis, previous impeachment, when Park Geun-hye was there were allegations that Samsung and others, because she basically invited all the Chebos and she took some special benefit from them. Not only that, her friend Chesun daughter was basically given a horse, I don't know, 400,000 US dollar or something, very costly horse, because she was a basically horse rider. She participated in Olympic also. So Samsung illegally probably provided that thing. So in that, and because of that, Samsung chief had to go to jail also, remember. But in this case, there no apparent Chebol connection had been reported till now. I think it's going to have implication for power equation. So anyway, because Yoon Suk Yeol, he was, I think Yoon Suk Yeol foreign policy, if you look at, or say even domestic policy, I think he is not very effective. He's not very efficient leader. So I found him that always he is making anything in very broad brush. So saying that he participated in NATO summit, he tried to normalize relationship with Japan. He wanted to have very strong-handed approach towards North Korea. He wanted to become fully in support of America. He went up to saying that we support Ukraine. He visited Ukraine actually once. He participated in 3 NATO summits, 22, 23, 24, which never any South Korean president did. So I personally feel that that created a kind of, say, his approach was very clear. So next president, whoever comes to South Korea, probably he or she is going to be much more nuanced, I hope. And he was making some moves in right direction, but many in not so right directions. So that could be slightly, so that will also create a kind of. And last thing I will say about this equations, usually when progressive leaders, they become president in South Korea, what they say, they accept that they are for their policy, foreign policy, America is the most important ally. But at the same time, they look for some autonomy, some foreign policy choices of their own. Whereas conservative leaders normally, when they come to power, they give everything to Americans. So this is a very, so if next president comes from, say, progressive party, probably again they will seek some space for autonomous space for South Korean foreign policy making. And the last question from Madhuri ma'am, nice to hear from her. Madhuri ma'am was in Delhi University. I was also for many years. So I think her question is very important, and I think I fully agree with what you are saying, that this is a very common trend. Society, they are getting bifurcated in different, you can say, what do you call, deity worshipping fans rather than citizen of a country, where citizens, they decide about their political choices, they change their political choices as per the policy, as per the performance of those leaders or those governments administration. We are creating, and they are not interacting with one each other. That's what I said, that this uh, algorithm problem of YouTube. If I watch Arnab Goswami, all the problems which are similar to Arnab Goswami, they are being offered by YouTube to me. If I watch Ravish Kumar, all the programs which are having similar political position, they are being offered to me. So I become so upright in my own mind that the other people who are saying something, maybe saying some one or two valid points, but I become very intolerant. I don't want to listen to them. So this overall means of communication in political science, political socialization is very important. How do we know about Rahul Gandhi or Narendra Modi or say Yun Sarkel or EJ Myung? How much information we are having open? So this is a very you can say this is a very problematic thing, and that's creating problem not in Korea. It's a universal trend happening, and because of that, you must have seen that almost every country, including South Korea, everywhere democracy, they are asking for strong leaders, be it Trump, be it Narendra Modi, be it, I don't know, I should say Xi Jinping or not, but I think so. Everywhere, I think people are seeking for that thing. So I think it's a common, and that's what I said, that some structural problem in South Korean polity are going to remain same. And these new factors which are making all the political systems quite, you can say, unaccommodative, they are also going to be there. How we navigate from here is challenge for Korea, is challenge for all of us in different countries.
Well, I think we have now strayed into a very, very different arena. It's very fundamentally philosophical, questioning um, how we are going to be dealing with the challenges that are arising from this technological advancement. I think this issue of institutional rectitude, resilience of the system at a time when, as you said, algorithms are determining people's choices or rather imposing choices on people, is going to create a huge, huge challenge. And, you know, there was a time when we used to talk in terms of there's not one model of democracy. Look across Asia, inevitably you would point out how Indian democracy was different um, from Singaporean democracy or democracies in Southeast Asia. But the question never was the fundamental question that at the most basic, democracy was about prioritizing the people and their needs, and how do you eventually manage the system for the benefit and upliftment of the people. I mean, fundamentally, this becomes the kind of universal dimension of democracy, which would, of course, navigate and negotiate different cultural legacies and different histories. And that was obviously the stuff of which comparativists engaged each other in. But now we've come to a very different kind of challenge. And it's not just democracies, but all over the world, any political system is coming up against the impact of social media and how that can create, make, break any kind of institution. So South Korea is obviously now passing through a very grave crisis. And like I said, it is so complex and there's so many things. Yeah, you want to say something?
Well, actually, I remember actually Spinoza, he long back he wrote that logic can't beat emotions. So now we are in the age of emotion politics.
I mean,
And
social media is definitely about emotions, but I think what was interesting about your presentation was that you gave us the nuances of this crisis in South Korea. I mean, I, for instance, following it, but I never saw this newspaper with all the photographs saying these are the people who did not, support the coup and so on. So what we've got is really a very, very granular picture of this crisis as it unfolded, and I've certainly become wiser about what happened. And I will try to at least educate myself more on um, how it will eventually pan out. But thank you very much for that excellent presentation, and thank you all for joining us today. I hand it over to Manikaran to do the final summing up.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. With this, we come to the end of today's seminar. We thank Professor Acharya and Professor Sandip Kumar Mishra for gracing today's seminar with their presence and for giving us their precious time. We also thank the audience for joining us today. The video for today's discussion shall be available on the ICS YouTube channel. We would like to invite you to the upcoming 2025 Gargi and Vidya Prakash Dutt Memorial Lecture. This lecture series has been institutionalized through the generous support of the Gargi and Vidya Prakash Dutt Foundation. The upcoming lecture is titled Russia, India, China, Problems and Prospects of Building Greater Eurasia. The speaker for the event is Professor Kirill Babaev and is scheduled for 12 February 2025, 6 p.m. IST at the Conference Room 2, India International Center, New Delhi. Further information regarding the event can be found on the ICS website. You may also subscribe to our newsletter for regular updates. Thank you for joining us today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, everyone.
thank you.